Good day, my fellow Epic 7 players. Hello, my fellow Sins. Today I'm going to do something special. This was a request by one of my fellow guildmates who said, Inspi, I have been looking all over the internet for really good videos that show me some of the thought processes to do guild war attacks. What am I to look out for? How do I approach attacking? And do you have any good strategies? Do you have any good tips? Any input? And obviously, from season to season, this will change. The meta is shifting and things are getting either worse or better depending on what your playstyle is. But ideally, if you are able to branch out into different playstyles and you have a really varied and wide roster, you will have options to approach any defense, at least for the best of your knowledge and for the best of your ability. There will always be RNG and sometimes you will get screwed over. We might have this kind of situation now. So I will go over strategy and I will play out whatever I'm going for and show you what happens. Hopefully we will be successful, but if not, fret not, this is just the name of the game. I always tend to say Guild War would be very boring if everyone would have the perfect solution for each defense. And there needs to be some RNG factor to give defenses the chance to steal a win here and there to make it more interesting. So this is just the nature of the game and the nature of playing against AI. Certainly if Guild Wars were against real players, that would have been a completely different story and we would not have what we have today. So I'm going on tangent here. Let's just jump into it. We are currently in preseason and we're not facing an opponent that is necessarily on our power level. I might be wrong. If anyone from Iridescent is seeing this video, give me a shout out. I am happy to take back my criticism, but we're going to find out if we are really facing strong opponents or not. I think they are not weak. Judging from what I've seen, their defense is already doing, how many green shields they have collected. There is some trouble our guildmates are currently having against team comps like these, for instance. So let's just see what we have here and what comes to my mind always when I'm trying to approach any defense really is the question: what is my opponent trying to achieve with his team composition? What are his win conditions? What are his losing conditions? And how can I leverage this knowledge to the best of my ability? Looking at this round one team, we see a very tanky team comp already from the get-go, with Troublemaker Crozet on the front. We have two knights, so potentially a combination of damage reduction artifacts like Aureus and Adamant Shield. Will probably not be the case on Charlotte, but we can expect to have an Adamant Shield on either Aureus or Adamant Shield. I think Adamant Shield because there's inbuilt damage reduction on T-Crozet already, and then really strong bruises on the backline. So looking at that, I already can tell that this team comp is built to outlast for a while, and this is beatable. You can try to stall this out, and I will come to that in a moment, but I will probably not be able to either cleave it or try to assassinate those characters. There can be always proof of valor. We are not having any reports on this team right now, so I can't tell which artifacts are on those characters. But you have always take into account that there might be proof of valor on one of the key characters, like Charlotte here, or even Shooks. And there will be a lot of repercussion damage-wise. So if we are not able to cleave them or kill them round one, what are we going to do to survive the crackback of this team? There will be a lot of AoE damage coming in. There will be a lot of counterattacks, both from Crozet and from Chooks, what to do. So I already said one approach that we could do is to stall out this team comp. And usually what you always want to keep in mind is you can bait out attacks, and you should always try to achieve that. Just for the reason alone that you can split the damage and you can stall out or heal back, split up damage way better than if you're not having baits. Because if you're not having bait characters, and for those who don't know what a bait character is, so basically what the AI is always trying to do is it's looking for elemental advantage or disadvantage, with the exception of a handful of characters, especially assassins like Assassin Sid. They have a little bit of a different priority when attacking, but with those handful of exceptions aside, they are always looking to attack with elemental advantage. So I can take this to my personal advantage and take characters that basically bait out or pull the attention of every individual character on the enemy team. It's a little bit easier on the top team because there is one character who is basically almost always attacking AoE, which is Charlotte. So I am currently looking for bait characters for Troublemaker Crozet and for Chooks. Troublemaker Crozet, because he can actually be quite disruptive to your team comp because of his ability to stun on his S1. And he will be also countering on his attacks if we attack the backline hero. So we have to watch out for this. We don't want any of our characters to get knocked out of the game, taken out of the game just by being stunned. So ideally, if you bait out a Troublemaker Crozet, you want to take a character who has high effect resistance built in or the chance to get immunity. For me, this is my Last Rider Crow. Not only does he give AoE immunity to my team, which is quite important in many matchups, also AoE shields, which helps against the multitude of AoE attacks that are happening from this team. He also is built on high effect resistance. So he will bait out the attacks of Troublemaker Crozet ideally, while not getting stunned at all. This is important. We don't want to lose a third of our team and a third of our damage potential. Last Rider Crow is not just a good tank, he's also a good AoE damage source. True damage, I might add to that. So no matter how much tankiness there is on those characters in form of defense, at least, this is getting foregone. He also doesn't crit, so he doesn't care about crit chance reduction of Chooks. He's an ideal candidate for this kind of comp. If you don't have Last Rider Crow, which is understandable, this is a very premium character for most players, then try to go for tanky characters that you can build on high effect resistance. Eaton is a very good budget choice. He's just such a wall of a character with a lot of damage reduction for himself and his team. Together with the right damage reducing artifact on him, you can mitigate a lot of damage and still survive into the later turns. So this is like a good budget option. Other than that, you will probably have to experiment. So you might build a, let's say a tanky Ballion, but I'm going too far on a tangent now. So just trust me, Eaton would be a budget choice in this team comp. Ideally, I think Last Rider Crow is a completely underrated character, and I highly recommend trying him out. So we are going into stall comp right now, and we also want to bait out ideally the Chooks attack by someone, but to be honest, Chooks is in a very good spot because there is not a lot of red characters that can actually tank Chooks, and many people have problems with that. So I will not try to do this, and I will also not advise you to tank out a Chooks, but we can at least dampen the blows that come from the enemy team by having a good Soul Weaver. Currently, most of you will know this, Diane is really strong in the meta, both in RTA and both in Guild War, in any content really, just because she cycles her skills a lot, and she also has the ability to give AoE protection in forms of shields. Having her with also the crit chance reduction buff, which kind of competes with the crit reduction buff on the enemy team, so we're kind of even there with this choice. But we're also having a healer and the shields, the AoE shields. Her AoE shield combined with Last Rider Crow's AoE shield already gives us a lot of AoE damage reduction and mitigation. So we are basically at a good point to outlast. Also, having another backup cleanser in her is definitely not bad to have. Just for the let's say off chance of Troublemaker Crozet attacking someone else, maybe through a dual attack or something else, and then stunning. So having this backup sustain is very important against this comp. Now we come to the main source of damage, and here it gets a little bit trickier. So we are facing a red damage hero in Charlotte. I would nonetheless say that in this case we want to go for a hero that is green, either Alencia or we go with Senya. And here are the reasons why. We want persistent damage over time, and both heroes can do that. Alencia also has the strip, the AoE strip, which helps if it connects against Charlotte, but against any of those characters. So the buffs on the enemy team will be pretty strong. So both choices are viable, both choices are really good, and they can out-sustain through their EEs. So ideally you want to have the healing EEs on both characters, the enhanced equipment, to give a little bit more sustain to your win condition. So the green character you're having here is a main win condition. That character will have an easier time against chooks. So we want, again, we were speaking about splitting up the target damage that comes. So while this green character is getting a little bit more damage through the AoE attacks of Charlotte, either Senya and Alencia are really good at tanking this damage out. But they will not be single targeted by chooks. So chooks will not go for elemental disadvantage. Our win condition, which is the damage dealer, either Senya or Alencia, is protected from chooks. Also, our win condition is protected from the Troublemaker Crozet, who will be going for the light character on the enemy side. So the only real threat to our win condition will be the Charlotte, and tanking through that is possible. I will be going for a different approach now, though. I will be trying a completely different comp, and this might completely go into chaos, and some of you will be shaking their heads right now. I am an avid control player, and I think there is a good chance that we might control this team. Okay, so bear with me. I know this might sound as a stretch to some, and I can see why, but my main control comp always amazes me when it works out, and it oftentimes works out. And I want to go through it with you and show you its benefits and also obviously the risks. So what we are having here is a matchup that is fighting the fights on two different layers, so to speak. We have this super tanky comp that we can't cleave, and a comp that would steamroll us once it keeps going. But if we can hinder them from going, we will achieve a lot. And here's how we're trying to achieve this. Obviously, if you want to go with a control comp, you want to have an AoE stripper. I know that Cerise is not the highest tier stripper right now in the current meta. Most people are looking at Pera or Ren. but she is better than those two characters in this specific comp, and here is why. Not only does she strip, she also has extreme cycling and the potential to stun, always stun, if she soul burns her as 2. And she also gives speed down to the enemy team. While the other character you can see here, Sinful Angelica, gives speed up to our team. So what we're trying to achieve is we are trying to get an action advantage through a lot of combat readiness pushes, dual attacks, and stuns and sleeps. This, if it works out, this will be the perfect control, and ideally our enemy team will get no turn. Meaning that Troublemaker Crozet will not be able to cleanse the backline with his skill and protect them. Meaning that Chooks will not be able to S3 and therefore activate her passive counter attack chance that she has inbuilt into her kit. Check that out if you didn't know that. And hopefully there will be no more buffs on Charlotte, and also no chance to counterattack for any of those heroes because they will be either stunned or sleeping. Obviously, there is a caveat to it, and the caveat is there is the chance that we might not land control on top of our enemy team. The strips might get resisted by 15%ers, which could already screw us over royally, and every debuff might get resisted. And our characters are super squishy. There is also no real bait on our team right now, so there's nothing that would bait out the enemy attacks. If Chooks is going, she will first of all S3, which gives us a little opening. We should still survive the S3 of Chooks. But if she starts to go with single target attacks, our Tenebria is dead. She will not be able to tank through that. Every character that gets low is bound to die unless we get lucky with immortality or invincibility on either Sinful Angelica or Cerise. Well, it's super risky, but it is extremely rewarding when it functions. So if this were not preseason and this would be a very important war for us to win, I would rather go with the sustain comp and try to win with that, because it has actually the better chances of winning. But this comp is extremely fun if it works out, so I'm trying to risk it and show you how well rewarding this can be. Okay, jumping into the second team, we are looking at an Aravi comp with Adventurer Ras and Ram. This is again a super bruiserish comp, very tanky, hard to cleave. So I want to think about approaches that we can do to win this. I would not try to control this comp, just for the reason that Ram is really nasty when she counters for such a comp. We might get stripped, which means we might lose essential speed buffs on our characters or attack buffs. We want to also be able to gain control, so if we don't kill the Ram first, which is hard to do when you are playing in a Tenebria, then things get out of control. So ideally against this team comp, you always want to keep in mind you want to kill the Ram first, otherwise she will get into demon mode and then you're in for a hell of a ride. You don't want this to happen. So focus Ram and keep Aravi for last. This is what like the general consensus would be in this kind of team comp. There are different approaches, and I want to be a little bit faster here. We already talked about the concept of baiting out attacks. So one thing that I think would function here very well is a bruiser comp that is baiting out by itself. So we would go with an Alencia, for instance. Alencia is very good with her injury against Aravi. So she already shines there. But we would split the dual attack of Ras towards Alencia. If he gets in Ram with the dual attack, Alencia doesn't care. It's elemental. Well, doesn't carry strong, but she is on an elemental advantage, and as long as Rem isn't in demon form, this will help her mitigate a lot of the incoming damage. And if Aravi is attacking, her injury might actually hurt Alencia, but for that reason we would again combine her with someone who can give shields as additional damage mitigation for injury. Shields are OP against injury. If you are worried that your opponent might out-injure you, try to go for shields. I can't overstate this enough. Again, this duo is really good at giving shields, at cleansing, at giving immunity, not immortality, but immunity, and having a lot of damage mitigation. This kind of comp would be really good against the bottom comp. Again, we have this split bait. So Aravi would go for Last Rider Crow, Ras would go for Alencia, and hopefully we are fast enough to kill the Rem so she doesn't matter at all. This would be one way to go about it. The other thing is that oftentimes people forget that the game has excellent characters that are not triggering any counterattacks. I'm talking about Landy if you want to go AoE, or Spectre Tenebria if you want to go single target damage and focus down the Rem better first this way. So those are two options if you want to go kind of a protect the queen comp. In this case, Landy or Spectenny would be the queen, and the protectors would be again some light unit who can bait out the Aravi. You could go for G-Purgus to get another combat readiness push advantage, so you can cycle your win condition, which is the queen, so to speak, in this case Spectenny, faster to apply pressure onto Rem and then other characters, one after another. Ideally, you also want to bait out the Ras again to split the damage so that G-Purgus is not getting focused by himself. For sustain, Rana is a really good choice. So ideally for the imprint, you want to put a Rana in the front line because she imprints the top and the bottom lane. She would give us another source of healing because obviously there's dual attacks. There is counter attacks on the enemy team that would trigger her. AoE healing, she gives us more survivability on our queen that we want to protect. So if Rem gets a turn and does her AoE attack, hopefully by that time Rana will already have given her revive buff to the rest of the team. So this buys us time to kill the Rem and then go into the late game and hopefully win from there. There is a third comp. Again, I'm going for a really, really risky comp here, and I want to show it to you, showcase it to you. I found that Spirit Eye Celine is extremely good against Aravi. Obviously, she hates to get dual attacked and she hates to get AoE attacked and stripped. Both Ras and Rem can strip. But we have a plan, we have a game plan. We want to hinder Rem from doing so, and we want to hinder Ras from doing so. For that reason, we are playing a split bait comp. So again, we're going for a green unit to bait out Ras. We're going for the light unit to bait out Aravi, and we don't care about the Rem because we are going for focus fire approach. So we're trying to kill the Rem before she can get a turn. And in this case, I always like to go with Zahak. He's really good against Aravi as well because he can apply injury. And this Zahak, I have to add, is built on a bruiser build with Sigurd Scythe. So he's quite tanky and sustaining himself. And he can stand his ground. He will not be able to kill Rem by himself. He will need help from other characters, and there will be different single target DPSs on that team for that matter. But he has so much synergy with her. This is not a budget comp by any means, but it is an interesting comp that kind of shows us the strategies behind Guild War. It really can show us the mechanics of Guild War really well. So to have a failsafe here, we would also go for Aravi, our own Aravi, to be able to revive. In this case, we have 2 revivers. We have Zahak, who can cleanse and give a shield to our Spirit Eye Celine. In the case of need, the shield can help trigger her S2, which says that the enemy can only deal up to 51% of damage of her maximum HP. So this would help her really survive in that matchup. So yeah, we'll see. Zahak will not bait out the Ras though if he's on invincibility. That is something that you have to take care of. There are sometimes things that you have to just through experience learn. Just learn and keep in mind that the targeting of the AI can change once a character is invincible. Back in the days, I think 1 year ago or so, the AI would still go for invincible characters, but that has been changed. This is not the case anymore. The AI actually got smarter, step by step, little by little. Anyways, I don't want to keep you waiting anymore. Let's jump into this. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully this will work out. Especially the top team is super risky. The bottom team as well, but we'll see. Maybe. Always keep your eyes out for the artifacts that are getting shown here. We see the Adamant Shield already on Troublemaker Crozet. And what we also see is that there is only one immunity that we need to care of. Chooks can give herself immunity, and Troublemaker Crozet, I think, he cleanses but gives no immunity. So there is quite a lot of anti-control tech already in this team, but we are ballsy. We can work through that. Some of you might now wonder, why is the attack buffer going last? In a control comp, I do care more about the speed buff on my team than the attack buff. Once both my units have gone and my Singelica goes afterwards, the speed buff will be on the main control units for 2 total turns. It will immediately take effect once they get it. If my Singelica would have gone first, then my DPSs or control units, they would have immediately lost the first round of speed buff. So this is a little bit of trimming and optimizing, so to speak. She's built for that. She's also high effect resistance, so her immortality doesn't get stripped. So what we want to do here now is, ideally, we want to get rid of the immunity here and get our strategy going. This is also, as I said, decrease speed and also restrict, which is not of unimportance here because there's a lot of combat readiness pushes on Chooks and also on Troublemaker Crozet. Not sure about Charlotte, but I think she also has a combat readiness push. Anyways, let's go for this. If she gets countered, she's on invincibility, and that's fine. We get the strip, we get speed down here. We did not land anything on the Troublemaker Crozet, so he's probably on high effect resistance, maybe something like 150. But our Tenebria is way higher in effectiveness than that, and hopefully this is the important moment right now. We need to land the stun on the Troublemaker Crozet. It's not as important on the other 2 characters. One of those is hopefully enough. Ideally Charlotte. Let's see.
A nightmare, especially for you.
Okay, we have 1 miss. Okay, this is bad. This is really bad. Yeah, we probably lost this. We will still try to play this out. So we landed the stun on Troublemaker Crozet, but we did not land any debuffs on the enemy team. I don't think we can cut in with our Cerise here. Maybe if we had opened with the S2, that would have been a good option. If we would have opened with the S2 and first stunned the Charlotte, not possible because she was on immunity. But maybe it Chooks, then this might have taken a different approach. Now we're getting cleave. Now I can pretty safely say that our Tenebria will die here. Not by Chooks, but okay, we are still in it. Cerise cut in by 10%. Whew, thanks. Thank God. So you see, having the speed buff on her and having speed decrease on Charlotte was paramount here to allow us to do this, and hopefully we land the stun here. Don't 15% us. Okay, nice. We're in it, boys. We are in it, and usually when I see comps like these, we have immunity now on Chooks, so there's no point at going at Chooks. You want to go for the T-Crozet anyways, because there's a lot of damage mitigation involved with him, and you don't want him to disrupt your flow of the game. Let's try to down her. So one good way of controlling the battlefield is killing units. Who would have thought? Take note that Tenebria, while being a very old character, she has 50% combat readiness push on her S1 if she sleeps the enemy, even if the enemy dies. Just look at it, because this might be super important right now in this team comp. If she sleeps, she will cut in front of the Chooks, and this might actually be important. Holy sacrifice! Oh fuck, we're screwed. Oh no, we're not. We have Sinful. Okay, wow. This is one of the surprise moments. Sinful is such a monster, such a utility character against so many things. Super happy about that. Yeah, let's keep our strategy. We're focusing him. Again, you notice there was a combat readiness push on Tenebria because she slept the Troublemaker Crozet. And there's also Idle's Cheer, I forgot to mention it, on the Sinful Angelica to gain another combat readiness push. So in this case, hey, that worked out. So the Elbrus effect of Chooks is right now online because she was able to use her S3. This might come back to haunt us. I don't know, maybe we're lucky. We're trying our best here to punch through it. There comes the other counter-attack. Okay, this is bad. This is very bad. Very bad indeed. So the Chooks should attack the Sinful, because the Sinful is lower on HP. This pushes us. She's unable to die, and now we have the possibility to strip again. But Troublemaker is going. So, do we go for S2 first and then do the S3? Question mark. Probably not good enough. We probably should try to S3 here and then save the S2 to stun the Chooks and hopefully be able to keep her on lockdown. This is probably our best shot at this.
But I have no intention of losing.
I will enact my own justice.
Yeah, plus he will resist a lot. Okay, there comes the combat readiness push from Chooks. Is her S3 still on cooldown, so she still has the Elbrus effect. I think we do this. There's a combat readiness push by her, so we cut in. And we need to really get rid of him as soon as possible. Okay, this counterattack screwed us over. Yep, and it goes downhill. It was a nice try. I already said it was super iffy. Stall comp, definitely the better choice. But, well, you can't go for glory if you don't risk anything, right? So, hey, could have worked out.
With this sword
Give me the sense of doubt.
there is nothing that I can't slash.
Purifying flame. Burn away the evil. Prove your
Okay,
worth.
already getting some counterattacks of our own. Usually injury is not too good on Rem because it gives her better opportunity to proc her Sigurd Scythe, which they are most of the time on. So I might consider going for injury on Aravi here, but I don't think it is necessary. I think I want to get into reach. I want to stick to the focus fire approach. It's a lot of damage mitigation because obviously the Aras is on Aureus.
Your dead comrades are waiting for you.
In the blink of an eye. Your life
Okay.
ends here.
She's healing out of reach. That's already magnificent. And the shield. Wow. That's something. We're keeping our eyes free. We're sticking to our guns.
This won't be an easy fight.
Ah, yeah. This is
I like this painless.
this is bad. I forgot about the
Who are
invincibility.
you people?
I have been talking about this, but here we are, looking like an idiot. So we want to heal back. We also we definitely want to not. Oh, we can risk a counterattack, but ideally we don't want to risk a counterattack here. So she will be on counter set. In this case, I'm going for Ras, hoping not to kill him. Just healing some back and gaining enough to make sure that she's over 50% together with the shield. Countering here and hopefully Dust Devil, nice. That is over 50% again. Close, but it works. And we still have a reviver at our disposal.
What are you looking at?
Step back, flies.
Okay. So let's continue. Comes the counter.
Resist as much as you can.
Usually I want to soul burn the Spirit Isoline. Thinking of soul burning here against the Ram, but I think not attacking the Ram is the right call. Because it would proc the Sigurd Scythe and she's still on a lot of buffs. On the other hand, if she counters him, it's not half that bad, isn't it? Soul burning this Spirit Isoline, she's on 3 turns cooldown anyways, that might not be enough. So we're going for this. There comes the counter attack. How much is she healing back? It was quite a lot. Oh no, she's going down. Oh, this is bad.
Tell me what to do.
Oh no. Come on, give me a break.
I'll
Fuck,
take
we're not
your
healing
life.
enough. Okay, she's on demon mode anyways now. She had her turn. What are our options here? Can we kill the... We have to go for him. I'm pretty sure we have to go for him. It hurts. And we will probably lose our Aravi on the crackback. No. She will go for Spirit Isoline. Wow, this is so risky. Can we risk going for the Ram here? Ras still on cooldown. He would go for him. No dual attack though. This is super risky, but I'm going for it. I'm going for Ram here.
The doors to hell.
Oh shit. And we got punished! Anyways, while we are really screwed right now, I hope this was still informative to you. And... Always use the yield option to save your characters. That's my last tip. That's it. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So it was a risky comp. It was good on paper, still risky on paper. There was a misplay with me using the S3 on Zahag at the wrong time, but we kinda went through it. I hope this was of interest to you, of help. If you want to see more of these kinds of videos, please let me know, and I'll try my best and hopefully deliver in the future. Anyways, here ya, and have a good one.